Hey everybody, video here for you today. Now on my channel in the past, maybe a few years ago, I recorded quite a few Mayan sites and I've made a few videos about some Mayan sites this weekend. And today we're going to go look at one that I have not even showed or mentioned, I don't think, in a video. And I try to make my channel as thorough as possible. I made one video where I even showed, I think, 24 Mayan pyramid cities in one video. So I will leave some links below. But down here in Belize and Guatemala and Honduras and even parts of the Yucatan here, there are still pyramid cities to be discovered. And I don't think anybody argues with that. So this has been a topic that I have looked into and just recently started making some more videos on. But I have not even mentioned this site. I don't think. I may have put it in a compilation video, but I just can't remember, and nothing shows up when I search my channel. Let's go down today and look at El Tajín. I think that is how it is pronounced. There is only a few ways I can butcher that. But this place really surprised me on how vast it was. And we can explore this on Google Earth, but here is just a look overhead. And just some basic history of this place real quick. Let me just read. But I just wanted to get a grip on who built this place, but this is the way it goes with some sites in Mesoamerica. It says chronology studies at Tajín and nearby sites show that the area has been occupied at least since 5600 BC and show how nomadic hunters and gatherers eventually became sedentary farmers building more complex societies prior to the rise of the city of El Tajín. The pace of the societal progression became more rapid with the rise of the neighboring Olmec civilization around 1150 BC. Although the Olmecs were never here in great numbers, it is unclear who built the city. But as with this site and a few others, it is just simply stated, it is unclear who built the city. And I think that's pretty darn important when we don't even know who built it originally. But when looking at my Mayan cities and realized I haven't talked about this, I was pretty awestruck by this place. It is huge, it is vast, and still there is stuff that you can't see today on Google Earth. But man, this place is huge, and we'll get a good look around here. But first, let's look at this area up here, because this is what caught my eye right away. So I thought I would go down and see if I could take a peek at this. But originally, who built this place? Well, I guess that is still up for debate. Please leave your thoughts in the comments section. But here's that walled-in area, and then it probably goes back, and it seemed to make a square. That's what appeared to me, and this kind of confused me at first. What exactly was this? Is this a top to something? Well, that didn't really make sense. It just seemed to be a walled-in area, and then stones here, and I just didn't know what to think. But you can see here there is still stuff buried, and that extends back into the jungle growth here. What was this? Well, I did just a little bit of digging, and I'll show you here. But I found this book here, and I will leave a link below. But it identifies that walled-in feature that I just showed you as the Great Zilcolququi, and I'm going to only attempt that once. It says the latter is a monumental construction based on the outline of the step fret. In the reconstruction of the drainage system by Cortez Hernandez, the water emptied into the area of the Great X, as I will call it, defined by the bottom corner of the fret. Water running off the hill was caught in this area by the barrier of the Great X, the big walled-in structure, creating an artificial swamp. So that answered that question. This seemed to be maybe where they caught water as a water source. That is just one simple hypothesis. And here on this website, it gives a little different info. It says the Great Enclosure, as it is called, is a 360-meter wall shaped like a squared spiral. The wall is a narrow platform. The Great Enclosure is thought to be the site of ritual activities concerning the ball game and is said to be built in the Greco style. But I will leave those links below. But here is a look. Once again, it's tough to go steady on street view here for a video. But how far back does this go? Well, it seems to go a little ways, and then it just creates a big square in the jungle. And overhead, you can kind of get a grip of where this was. Just that's the way it looks to me. Here we are down on Street View, and you get an idea of the stonework. And in just one of these plazas or ball courts, there are a lot of ball courts here, I guess as many as 20 of them, I read in one place. But the stonework in just one of these places, one of these ball courts or plazas, is vast and pretty mind-blowing. But when you take into context the whole city, the whole place, well, this place had some serious work done in it. But when we look back to some of the ruins like Sacsayhuaman and Machu Picchu and some places in Egypt, and there is that one distinctive kind of old stonework, and then we look ahead to the Incan cultures and other modern cultures, well, we need to think of this. How many cultures were in between those, and how many different ways did they use stonework? I just think that is a question that needs to be brought up, or something that needs to be brought up when we just look at stonework saying, well, this is who did this and this is who did that. But I just thought I would look around YouTube to see if any other channels have made a video on El Tajín. I was curious if Brian Forster has been there, or some other channels that I watched, and I was pleasantly pleased to find that my buddy bucat7 here at Stonewall Research did a video on El Tajín just a few days ago, and Budcat has 388 subscribers, and I peek in on what he has to say quite frequently, and I will leave the link to his channel below, and I will watch this Budcat when I have a little free time later on today. But here are some pics of El Tajín. This is that big enclosure that I showed you on Google Earth. Here is one of the pyramids, I guess as best reconstructed as possible. Sometimes when you excavate these places, it's actually hurts what's underneath, but seems pretty good preservation of this ancient city. Now these circular type things that are still buried on top, that is obviously circular stonework. I have seen those at a few other places, but that is fairly unique. And just the whole feeling of this city gives me kind of a weird feeling that this could go back quite a ways. And here you see stuff that is probably still buried, stonework probably that goes up into the hillside here. But there are some other places I wonder about, and this one right here is one that kind of makes me think, is this just a field with something growing, or is there a structure here? It seems to be perfectly aligned to north, but there is no street view in this area, but I'm highly suspicious of this right here. But if you swing around here, you notice down here at the bottom where the original blocks would have been, these appear to be megalithic. They appear to be much different than what is above and around them and covering them. That's just the way it looks to me. And then over on the other side, you get the same thing here. This would have been an original part of the city, and these blocks appear to be megalithic, not super huge, but totally different than what's on top and what is around them. But here is another look around. What's underneath the vegetation up here? What did this look like on top originally? And here you see, I believe this is what they call the Pyramid of the Niches right here. Now here is the Pyramid of the Niches in 1913, and this is the way they look when they are uncovered and have the trees ripped off of them. A lot of destruction to them, but this is the state in which they are in a lot of the times when they are uncovered. And this is the way it looks today. Here's a different view. And did this whole city have pavement? Well, I wonder about that, because it appears to be in a lot of different locations. But I think this is the Pyramid of the Niches here, for obvious reasons. Here is a little closer look at the Pyramid of the Niches, and were these just added by a later culture over something original here? And what is the purpose of this? Well, but as I swing around here, and I mentioned what else is here that we can't see, well, here's a stairway here that appears to go right up into the jungle. What is under here? Now, here is a different vantage point, and here is that Pyramid of the Niches that I showed you was not in the greatest condition, but here is how it was kind of restored today. And that area behind where those stairways went up into the jungle. And here we seem to have some blocks that are just kind of strewn about. Something has been dismantled or destroyed here, but these blocks appear to be a lot different than what makes up the main part of the city here. But this will give you a look at some of the stonework here. But I'm just going to try to give you some different views of this place here. Some different vantage points. But man, very impressive ancient city. But what impresses me about this city is seems to be many areas that were obviously very important, and the different reasons they were important. These different areas, ceremonial centers, astronomical observatory centers maybe. But here is a look, and you could just spend a long time looking around on Google Street View at these ruins because you can get a really good look, and they are very unique and very interesting for sure. And here is a motif at El Tajín, and I have just glanced at this, and I'm not really sure what is going on here. Maybe somebody getting sacrificed, but would they be wearing this? I'm not sure what's going on here. More stonework. What lies under this hill here? That's the first thing I wonder about. But some more of that stonework. Some more motifs. The thunderstorm gods, the 12 thunderstorm gods and gods of lightning, I believe, are the ones on display here. On this website it says El Tajín is a more modern name derived from the Totonic rain god, or more precisely, the 12 old men, or Tajín, who were considered lords of thunderstorms and who were thought to live in the ruins of the city. It says the early centuries of the site show evidence of influence from Teotihuacan, both in pottery and architecture, most notably with the first step pyramids. Now this is probably the largest plaza or whatever these places were used for. This is probably the largest one at El Tajín, but it gives you an idea of how big it is here. Different structures around it, huge structures, and whatever this looked like originally, it had to be very impressive and still probably stuff today still covered up by tree growth. But that will give you just a clue of how huge this main center was. Did they do ball games down in here? And that was kind of a symbolic game that had to do with the heavens. Sometimes the losers were executed, I guess, so pretty serious stakes. But here, look around the ceremonial center at El Tajín, and this appears to be perfectly aligned to the cardinal points. But I think I will wrap this one up. This has been an easy video for me to finish off because I started it a few days ago when I was recording some clips. And we have had some bad weather here in Vegas, so I've had some unexpected free time. Let me just show you a real quick clip from what I shot last night. But I just went out to grab something from across the street at the store, and I was greeted by a snowstorm here in Vegas, and the newest thing in our neighborhood. So yeah, snow in Vegas, that isn't rare, but usually I see it up in the mountains. But just to wrap up the video here is a look at another area, maybe a place where the ball game was played here. But these ruins, whole bunch of ruins to look at on Google Earth, and I thoroughly encourage you that like to use Google Earth to check out this site here. Some circular tops, some circular stone structures that I've seen before, but they are pretty unique. But this is a site that I wanted to cover. It's vast, it's huge, and not too terribly much is known on this site, I don't think. But I want to give you a look around. There is megalithic stonework here. How far back does this site go? What is still under the canopy here? Well, those are questions that just are obvious and common sense questions. But sometimes you can't provide answers until you ask the questions first. I was pretty unfamiliar with the site, but thought I'd give you a look around and a few thoughts. Hope you thought this was cool, and you all have a very nice day.